Welcome, welcome, welcome everybody to another edition of Hot Program. I am your host with the most, all the way from the East Coast. And as always, folks, I am in airplane mode. And now a man who accepts that we can't live forever, but we can live for each other. A man who's clearly trying to run for office and steal your vote. How are you doing today, my black friend?
Yeah.
That is that atheist appeal. If you ever called out when you're running for office and they say, but I don't know if I can vote for you because you're an atheist. That's what you hit him with.
That's what I hit him with.
That's what you hit him with. That'll do it every time.
They should be into it. If I say that to them, they should be into it. Like, yeah, I guess that's true. I'm well. That comes from that's inspired by me talking to one of my neighbors who recently had surgery where he got a defibrillator and a pacemaker installed. He just wasn't feeling too hot, and his wife said, "Can you come over and talk to him? You know, we haven't seen you in a while." And I said, "Sure." And I was over there for like 3 hours last night. So, it was a nice time. Yeah, I got to spend some time with other neighbors too this week, and so that's been nice. How about you? How you doing, Pakman?
I'm all right. I have not spent much time with my neighbors, but no? my Michigan neighbors. But the same cannot be said of my digital neighbors. And speaking of digital neighbors, probably the sailor that lives next door is here to see us, and that is of course the famous, the now, well, the Sir blew past the 300 sub mark, the now famous Stephanie Catherine Helms. How you doing today, Steph?
The girl who will live in infamy, I guess that's me.
Yes.
Doing all right. Yeah, really happy that that's kind of fun.
And you also had a video that
really
went viral.
Appreciate being here today. It was fun.
Steph, you've had a video that I would have to stitch a whole string of videos together for to match the view count.
Well, you know,
what was that video?
You never know what the algorithm will do with something. It was basically a tribute to John Gleason and Forrest Valkai for handling a particularly troublesome call that I call screened last Sunday on the line, the Line's Late Show. So it was the guy who gave his pronouns as attack helicopter, and you know that's kind of troublesome. And the producer, I just put in no pronouns given, but the producer Morgan passed along that was what the guy's pronouns were. And Forrest saw that, and the guy wanted to talk about God, but Forrest wasn't having it, and neither was John. It was good. It was the kind of thing where we've been arguing and talking about God and other gods and this God and that God and my God's better than your God, and we can put up this sacrifice or that sacrifice and blah 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 for 10,000 years. We still haven't come to any sort of resolution, but so long as humans decide that they're going to treat each other shitty in this world, regardless of which God rules it, or if none do, maybe we should talk about that instead. So, yeah.
All right, and Steph,
so I clipped that and sent everybody. By all means, it's check that out on the line, and you know, if you want a précis of it, you can take a look at the video I did on it. But I'm grateful.
And I think you're paired up channel wise, Steph. But if you're not, there's a link in the description to Stephanie's channel. So go ahead and make sure you're subbed up over there. All right, gang. But Steph is not here, believe it or not, to talk about that today, gang. I've just got to confess to you what's going on today. Okay. And the confession starts with this. A lot of times what we do with this counter apologetics, it's bullshit. And it's just the same old thing, the same old story, the same old bad arguments time and time again, and it can get very tedious and frustrating. But every once in a while, something genuinely glorious happens. Something that you needed that you didn't even know you needed happens. And you go, oh, it's counter apologetics for the win. Oh, today this is the right thing to be doing. And we have one of those occasions to share with you. Oh my goodness. Steph, go ahead and tee this up, and then we gonna go ahead and get into this. Tell people what we talking about today.
Well, first of all, kudos to Alma Tadero, who pointed this out last night on my live stream.
Yeah, thank you,
have
Alma.
Have you heard about the sword swallower? It's like, what? The sword swallower. Yeah, okay. At the Christian Men's Conference. It's like, sword swallower? Christian Men's Conference? This is kind of strange. So I Googled the thing and oh my God.
Well, it wasn't the OnlyFans version, folks. For those who...
When you see what we see, maybe
I saw it. I saw it already. I didn't see the entire conference, but I saw that performer. Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
The guy was first of all, the guy is very buff. Let's just put it that way.
Let's show the people.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Let's get the view right. Switch me and Stephanie. All right, here we go.
Did y'all hear about the men's church conference that had a male stripper? Oh, we in white folks church business today. Let me tell you what happened. All right, this is the Stronger Men's Conference, okay? They had a male stripper, they had monster trucks, they had fire, they had everything, okay? So the stripper man, okay, he ripped his shirt off. He does his, he don't strip in the sensual way, but he got his shirt off and he climbed a pole with a sword in his mouth, okay? Got the sword, put it down his gullet, deep-throating the sword of the spirit. He goes up the pole.
Deep-throated the sword in the spirit?
The focus here is rather weird because this guy is saying the male stripper. Well, yeah, but he didn't really strip. He's a sword swallower. You take off your shirt when you want to swallow a sword because you want to show the audience. Yes. He didn't take anything off other than his shirt. Now,
which I didn't understand. Sorry, go ahead, Steph.
No, you go ahead. I mean,
it's that simple for me. When I watched the performance, I'm like, why did he take his shirt off? What's the point of that? What does that do?
It definitely helps to show the legitimacy of the sword swallowing, that you're not sticking it into like a weird contraption.
Oh, that you're not hiding it. That you're not hiding it. I see.
Now to be fair, people based off the aesthetics and what he's able to do, for instance, with that pole, I think is what led people to say, okay, this person probably has a background in, at least pole dancing, right? So they either have a background in doing that professionally or recreationally. Let's put it that way, because some people do it just for exercise. So we want to allow for that possibility.
Yeah, I had a neighbor who taught pole dancing.
Yeah, but I think that's where, but still very impressive,
I wish I was that strong. I'm not.
That's facts.
Does a death drop. The men are like, this is great. Eagles, beers. Ha! Okay, comes down. Fire and monster trucks. So then this new man, Pastor Mark Driscoll, he get up and he don't like it. He got something to say.
I've been up since 1 o'clock in the morning. The reason I'm hoarse is I have been praying for you, and my heart is very burdened for you.
Oh, that's, gang, we talk a lot on this channel, pastoral field trips. I'll be talking to you about that, right? That's when the pastor goes on a little trip and builds up a whole story that he can then work into his sermon. Okay, this is basically the same phenomena, but it's like the handicap principle. He's like showing you that he really played the cause. So he was like, I was really up all night and I was praying for you. He couldn't pray for them quietly all night. You know, he had to pray in his strongest, most vocal voice, and so now he wants the hoarseness to speak to you. He wants you to understand that he's so, and look at the posturing. He's down on one knee. This is like serious pastoral signaling that's going on right now.
And I want to be very careful with this, and it's not what I want to say, but the Jezebel spirit has already been here. The Jezebel spirit.
Now I love a good rebuke, not rebuke. He said, I'm hoarse because I've been praying for y'all.
Exactly.
Because the Jezebel spirit opened it up. So he goes on, and then another pastor didn't catch his name. He didn't want to get too deep into the white folks' business. But he tells him, you're done. You're done.
He doesn't ascend, our God is humble, he descends. And then he swallowed a sword. And Jesus cried, okay, Pastor John, I'll receive that. Thank you.
Not today, Driscoll.
Not today. No, wait, hang on.
Pastor John, I'll receive that. He was like,
that was
more locker room talk between those two.
We didn't focus too much on that interaction, but yeah, that's a very profound interaction. And I got jealous. I was like, damn, why can't we shut down apologists like that? Right?
Well, let's give it a whirl.
Yeah, they just literally hit it with the Mark, you're out of line. Mark, you're done. I'll receive that.
Hey, Turk, I'm not gonna let you stand up there and lie to people. Get off the stage.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's the door.
Yep, there's the door.
Can you imagine somebody does that and just goes, I'll receive that.
I'll receive that.
Just waddles off like a penguin. That'd be amazing.
He's like, I received that. I'm gone. Because I don't want to have no part of the Jezebel spirit anyway. And
now wait.
I love a good so late.
Can you pause it, Pocket Locker?
It's too terrifying.
That's right into his persecution narrative that he needs to show that he's doing the work of the Lord. That's it. It feeds right into it. He got what I don't know if he wanted it, but he got that's better than getting paid for him because he can milk this for decades. WWE church begins. Toto now, thank you so much.
Plus, I think he was probably maybe Driscoll expecting, or I don't know, like, you know, people to like be cheering him and applaud him and be with him. And once they started going at him, he was like, "Oh, they all the way turned out for this." Like,
well, he's making like it's in a share a poll. I'm like, it's not. So again, he's sort of building, and to borrow from Sarah McLachlan, he's building the lie, right? That makes him seem more righteous. He's going to put everybody on the proper path now after they've been misled, led astray by the events of the day. He didn't talk about driver safety when it came to the monster truck, did he?
Yeah, actually, we'll get more into that. So, but go ahead, Steph.
I'm a little curious.
We got the video coming up.
Where is this Jezebel spirit coming from? Anyway, this a men's Christian men's conference. Where's Jezebel in all of this? Seems to me this guy was a guy.
Yeah.
What's up with that? I mean, the thing that's weird to me is these guys are reacting exactly as if this was a drag show. And It's weird. It's just really weird.
So you're saying a few of them are oddly turned on? Some are outraged, and others are speechless.
I'm saying that there might be some slick willies in the audience. Yes, I am. I'm telling you that.
I'll take your word for it. I wasn't there.
We get down.
I wasn't there either. But
all right, let's see this.
I love a good Cirque du Soleil. I go down to Las Vegas.
The man is
me and my wife,
talented.
we get down our pictures and a video of the Cirque du Soleil. They do fire and swords and stuff. I ain't never seen it at a men's conference. I thought when I heard this, I was like, oh, I thought it was gonna be a women's stripper. No, man. But the thing is, it's called the Stronger Men's Conference. The male stripper is showing you he's strong. He's got core strength because Jesus is at his core. And he can do all things through Christ who strengthens him.
There it is.
Say it, preacher.
Going up the pole with a sword in his mouth. Because he's a stronger man. Weak man couldn't do it. So do y'all want him to be on theme or not? Now, what the monster trucks have to do with it, I don't know. I don't know how you got monster trucks in the whole situation, but I don't care either because I like monster trucks. Never seen him inside a church. Only seen him at monster truck rally. But the devil is a monster. He'll be rebuked, cast down. So let's blow up the
and roll over.
Why is the fire there? Hell is hot.
Chinese side up, guys. Chinese side up always.
He's with him. Yeah, there you go. It's not. It don't have to be that. It don't have to be that hard. All right, y'all. So look.
It's good to have people interpret things for us other than the Bible. Yeah.
So look, that's what we wanted to show y'all to cue it up so y'all know what's going on. And of course, what we really had to talk today is that that's why this is so good, y'all. It's the gift that keeps on giving, because of course the Christian internet was going to react to this, and again, it just keeps getting better because now we get them in panic mode.
I would like to coin the term from Christian internet, Christian-ternet.
Christian-ternet.
Yeah, Christian internet.
Sure.
Christian-ternet.
There's some potential there. There's some potential there.
Of us had this on our 2024 bingo card. Mark Driscoll gets tossed from stage at men's conference after calling them out for hiring a male pole dancer to open the conference. What? Yeah. In this video, we're going to talk about not only what happened, but maybe some lessons that we can learn. If we've never met before, my name's Brandon. This is Preach and Lead. Normally on this channel, I'm making videos for pastors and church leaders on how to preach faithfully and lead intentionally. So if that's something that you're interested in, then be sure to subscribe. And also, as a gift, my way of saying thanks for being on this video, if you're interested in it, obviously, you can go to preachandlead.com/guide and get your free 10-step guide to writing a sticky sermon. It'll help you go from blank page to finished sermon, the whole process. It's a great resource. I encourage you to go to preachandlead.com/guide. Get that today. Okay, let's get into what is going on.
A lot of the reactions in the crowd.
It's a pole dancer.
That's right. That's exactly right.
With this, I figure instead of me reading you a story about what happened, it'd be better if you could just see what happened. Again, this is at a Christian men's conference, y'all. This is how they opened the conference.
Break it on down. Look at that! Oh, he's skywalking.
Wait, is this how Jesus
split it on him?
That's how Jesus walked on water. It's got to be the same.
Yeah. Hey, man!
Oh my goodness! And he put the sword out. Look at this.
He takes a sword, proceeds to put it in his mouth,
working that sword,
and then he's going to climb this pole. Just get to the point. Ugh. Woo! No bueno, man.
For a good time.
And then he's going to climb all the way up to the
pocket locker. Do we have a video clip of Damon Wayans and David Allen Greer responding to this as the two guys from Men on Film?
Oh my goodness!
This big sweaty man here.
You already saw what black folk think about this.
Saw what one thought about it.
Go ahead, Steph. Oh, good.
Yeah, control yourself, Stephanie.
Okay, so this is how the conference started, right? This is what happened the next day when Mark Driscoll comes onto the stage as part of the conference.
I like how the guy said, "This is how it started." I'm like, there was no greeting.
Well, that's why we had to show y'all the other video, because he ain't show all the good parts. We had to show you a little bit of extra footage in there. That man was working.
But let me do this.
Look at him get down, took his hat off.
I've been up since 1 o'clock in the morning. The reason I'm hoarse is I have been praying for you, and my heart
What a
is
sell.
burdened for you.
What a sell.
So what Driscoll is saying were the original words to the Sermon on the Mount, but the editor said this isn't going to work. Jesus, got to write something else.
He's definitely trying. Does that say?
And it's not what I want to say.
But this is stinkers.
Overwhelming sense of impending doom.
The Jezebel spirit opened.
That Jezebel spirit.
This is a rebuke and a correction of no one. This is an observation. Before the Word of God was open, there was a platform. It was a high place. On it was a pole, an ashtray. The same thing that's used in a strip club for women who have the Jezebel spirit.
Hey, Katina.
What I like is the applause.
Yeah,
He
I like
said
the
that.
applause, too. That's, well, you know, half part of the audience is applauding. The other part of the audience is looking for those $2 bills. They, you know, they're just. I mean, wait a minute. I was at this place somewhere. I don't know where, but I got all these things with pictures of Thomas Jefferson on them.
I do wonder if someone was shooing people away from rushing the stage. Like, this is not an altar call. Like, that's not why I'm here. I got money. I got money.
At a strip club. That man then ascended. See, our God is not arrogant. He doesn't ascend. Our God is humble. He descends.
He is arrogant. You have to read the entire Bible.
He swallowed a sword.
And you heard a guy go, "Not my God."
He said, "Not my God," or
how
not gonna fly, Mark?
How do you fucking find a Bible verse in a fucking poll? Now, if you're a Jehovah's Witness, you don't believe that Christ died on a cross. You do believe he died on a pole. So maybe, I don't know, we'd have to check with the central authorities on this sort of thing, but it's just weird. It's just weird.
If you dig long enough, Stephanie, things are connected. I think you've cracked it. Mm-hmm.
And Jesus Christ. Okay, Pastor John, I'll receive that.
I'm out.
Thank you.
All right, I'm gonna head out. You hit him with
Now,
So this
why
is
the
where
applause?
things get.
Are
He
they
obviously
applauding 'cause he's
addressed
leaving?
what happened.
Are they applauding because he's leaving, or because he spoke out and stated his opinion, and he had people in the audience that agreed with him?
No, I think they're applauding because he's leaving. I think they were having a good time, and he came up there trying. And again, there's always these people in Christianity. I always say they want to play Christianity on hard mode, right? And when things, I'm serious, when things get fun or people are having too good of a time, they always want to bring that down, because to them it's that they put forth the long suffering model.
Hey, look at my people didn't even want people to celebrate Christmas. So there you go.
You got to remember, This is why a lot of churches, there's churches that don't even want to celebrate the holidays like that. But there's churches that, when you go to their worship, like when they don't have instruments or they don't have drums or a lot of that stuff, it's not that they can't find musicians. It's that they literally have made a strategic decision to not be charismatic. And they will literally tell you that they will literally deride charismatic approaches to the faith in front of you.
when I say my people, I'm talking about the Puritans, right? It was illegal. Like our founding fathers say, the war on Christmas. Well, the war on Christmas began was John fucking Winthrop.
Well, a lot of Americans don't understand that Christmas used to be outlawed in this country.
Well, in the Massachusetts Bay Colony, it was.
Yeah. So, but what they know what's a little about or what's going on now, and not really the wide history of their own faith.
Happened, and obviously did not agree with it. And then you kind of hear somebody off camera say something, and then Mark responds with, Pastor John, I'll receive that, and proceeds to grab his stuff and get off stage. This next video shows what happens next.
Pastor John, I'll receive that. And Jesus Christ, okay, Pastor John, I'll receive that. Thank you.
Angelic reinforcement.
You hear it says, "You're done."
Angelic reinforcement.
Disorder in the house, huh?
Whoa.
If Mark wanted to say that, he should have said it to me first. He didn't. Matthew 18. Matthew 18. If your brother offends you, go to him privately. I talked to Mark for a half hour. There was not one word of that. He's out of line. If he wanted to say it, he could say it.
Oh, no.
You may not agree with me. You may not agree with him. But we are brothers in Christ, and there's a right way to handle disagreement.
Obviously, you see a very unideal situation if you're the leader of the conference. You planned this. You made the decision to have a former stripper, male stripper, open your conference with a sword-swallowing act of acrobatics, right? So that was your choice. You did that. And then one of your speakers comes up and criticizes that. He called him off of the stage. And then I think this is just when it comes to how can you lose credibility with people in 30 seconds, that's what happened with John, the gentleman who is in charge of this event, James River Church in Springfield, Missouri. This is what he does. He calls him off, and then the crowd is not on board with that because it seems like the majority of the people, at least the ones you can hear, are in agreement with what Mark was saying. And then John alleges that Mark violated Matthew 18. What is Matthew 18? Matthew 18 talks about how if someone sins against you, you are to go and talk to them privately. And if they don't hear you, bring another person with you, talk to them again. If they don't hear you, then bring them before the church, and they are to be condemned by the church and excluded from fellowship until they repent, right? That's the basic idea of Matthew 18. The question is, should Mark have talked to Josh about this issue beforehand? If they were having a conversation for 30 minutes before he came out to speak to the conference, the people in the conference, should Mark have talked about it? Does this fall under Matthew 18? In my opinion, it does not. This was a public decision that John made to have this person come, and Mark chose a public venue to criticize the decision. It was a public decision. It was publicly displayed, and Mark's heart, you can see in this, Mark humbly went on one knee.
Steph, I'm gonna let you speak, Steph, but just remember to consider his heart, Steph. His heart.
I am deeply moved. You're good. I am deeply moved by his impassioned plea to bring everything to God in prayer. and governing the behavior according to the words of our Lord Jesus Christ. Which is just total bullshit, Jesus.
Listen to me. I'm sick of it. I'm taking the gloves off.
These people just come on, you know. It reminds me of that guy biblically who was so biblically. It's the pole dancing. It was not in the Bible, and it's like
I think the person we were listening to on Danny's channel today was biblically. I need some of y'all to go to Phil Talk, listen to Danny argue with this moron, and tell me that that is not biblically talking quietly. I really think it was. And I kept saying, ask this person if they make love to God. Ask this person if they make love to God. And I know if you're sitting there reading that in the chat, you must be like, Jay, what are you on today? And I'm like, no, unfortunately, I'm talking about a person who very seriously says they make love to God.
My question has always been, as regards to ultimated Judeo-Christian guy.
Done. The Lord says it is done.
Does his arm fall asleep when he's making? Well, never mind. I just, I've got a filthy mind, and I'm going to hell. I know it, but
it's the sword swallowing. It's definitely got the energy peak.
And stood on one knee on his conviction that was inappropriate and unwise, and in the spirit of Jezebel, a person who goes against God. Whether you agree with this is an Asherah pole and like the metaphor itself, I think Mark handles this.
Fucking performance.
If he feels strongly about that and wants to speak against it, I think he did it in the best possible of ways.
All right, let me
Asherah pole. I mean, really?
Yeah,
seriously.
That's a weird.
You can't. You're so stuck in your stupid book. You can't look outside of it. It's not. Not everything has to relate to this verse or that verse in the Bible, dude. It's an entertainment piece. It's like, did anybody bitch about the monster trucks? No. Did anybody bitch about the guy was doing a sword swallowing act and dancing on a pole, and apparently it's a piece of Chinese acrobatics. And I don't understand. I don't understand why these folks have to get pissed off about a guy putting on a performance.
It's because everything in their worldview comes back to Jesus. It would be cliche to say that they sound like a broken record.
I'm sick of all these little baby Christians that they're like, oh, let's stop fighting.
So you know what I realized? They sound like when you got a hoopty in the winter and you can't get it started, and you're going out and you go to work and you turn the key and it's Jesus, 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 Jesus.
So like
Jesus. That's it.
Okay, so I'll tell you to some degree what I think could be happening. 1,000 years ago, I did stand-up comedy, and I'm not like the most hilarious guy. So I did sort of a Stephen Wright kind of comedy. You had to think about what I was saying. It wasn't just simply funny to general audiences. So every joke got laughs, but sometimes only 3 or 4, 2 or 3, or even one person laughed. And I got frustrated because I thought this would be more well received. Here's why I was wrong. I should have been happy that those 3 or 4, even the one person laughed. And if you take enough of those 3 and 4, 1 and 2 people out of groups, you can fill Notre Dame Stadium with those people, and they're paying customers, right? Driscoll knows that if and this is what Trump does, let me reach the offended peoples who will pay me good money to keep them upset by talking about the things that upset them and never fixing any of it. All I got is talk about it. So Driscoll knows there's probably 4% of that audience he can take with him. 2% of that are scared to walk out in front of other people, but they're going to be subscribing to Mark Driscoll, before they even get back to their hotel room.
What's interesting is how many people were at play. So one of the things I like to think is that, they're all in there hooting, hollering, and they're all going along with it and they're having a good time. But let's say that there's some percentage of them that were just totally fine with it, thought it was great. This is the best thing I've ever seen at a Christian conference ever. And there was another percentage that was like, as soon as they saw him put the sword in his mouth or take his shirt off, they were like, nope. I wonder how many people were sort of in play in the sense that they were maybe not upset or not thinking about it or not too bothered by it. But then when Driscoll came up and rebuked the person, then they felt compelled to revisit the situation. I don't know.
It's difficult to know.
That's what I'm curious about, though.
There are things that make us angry in retrospect, right? We don't see what was offensive or hear what was offensive because we just simply weren't trying to pick up on it. We were trying to enjoy ourselves, right? Or we're trying to learn something. So I think it's just one of those moments where most people probably were perfectly happy, to watch what that guy was doing and be impressed by his athleticism, right? That guy, I heard that minister who ran that conference speak. That guy, the athlete, sword swallower, he's a Christian. He's married. He has a family. I forget what he does for a career other than, or he might do something other than sword swallowing. I can't remember what was said. But either way, that guy's there to do a job. They don't have, Busta Rhymes playing in the background as he's doing all that stuff, or, some Whitesnake song playing where he's trying to be all seductive. That's not what we see. He's clearly displaying his athleticism. And as Stephanie did, right? Stephanie made connections about how, although Stephanie's joking, about how you could draw some spiritual references to what he is doing, right? And I think we probably all could. So if a person thinks it's bad like Driscoll does, then he can convince other people who don't see what he's seeing. They're watching the same thing and they just didn't take it that way. He can now turn some of those people to see it his way, right? I need you to be offended too, because I'm offended, and I'm going to take you with me on a journey of being constantly offended by nearly everything that goes on in society.
So the sword swallower, in the sword swallower's words, got a quote from this guy Magala, who apparently is a sword swallower. The sword swallower, however, said he felt compelled to clarify that his performance was not a strip act, but a specialty act. My performance, which some have controversially likened to inappropriate entertainment, is deeply rooted in a historical and cultural tradition that dates back over 1,200 years, he said. It has since become a respected discipline, showcasing human strength and agility. And I would say that's about accurate. After watching the act, the sword swallower also holds a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And he said only an uninformed person would compare his act to an inappropriate performance. I feel that this Danger Act is perfect for the Stronger Men's Conference. It provides inspiration to the audience and permission for them to reach new heights of what's possible in their lives. It's like, okay.
That's a person. Yeah, that's a person who's got professional and recreational interest in that skill set. And there's, I can't imagine a lot of maybe even different cultures having traditions around
I hadn't
pole dancing.
I hadn't seen this one before. Magala pointed out that Dan Meyer, leader of the Sword Swallowers Association International.
There we go.
Yep. And his mentor is a member of Driscoll's church.
Really? It's a small world.
Yeah, Chinese pole acrobatics, which he performed at the Olympics. He says this is way different than a male stripper. It's like, yeah, what the fuck?
Big yikes. Wow. That is super interesting. And I'm gonna just say this. I said this last night in Gather. I'm not, I don't get down with men like that, but y'all, if I was, I would give homeboy a try. Okay? All right. and like I said, if somebody I like swallow the whole sword, I would be like, you need help? I'm gonna walk you to your car. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of dangerous people out here. So look, what am I trying to say? If you have that man's skill set, I sure hope you had a spirit of Jezebel. Because if not, it's a goddamn waste of talent. I'm gonna just say that right now.
He was humble, and yet he was truthful. He did not shy away from the truth. He was not passive about it. He was not aggressive about it. He was assertive. And I think he handled himself as well as someone could, especially even after he was called to get off of the stage. Now, was Mark out of line for criticizing someone else's event? There could be a debate there. You agreed to come to the event. It's not your event. You are there to contribute a service, and that is to speak to the people. But he disagreed with that decision. Now, what in the world was the point of a sword-swallowing performance by a male stripper, though, at a men's Christian conference?
Monster truck.
That's my question.
Yeah.
That's a great point, Stephanie.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Because
it's
that is
entertainment. He's trying to
it's
entertain the folks. And
That's
the folks
the
were
point.
eating it up like it was ice cream until this God botherer got up on the
objective
stage
world
and started
and the
saying it's
narrative
all
world
Jezebel.
touch.
I hate to say this too, like they're trying to play everything on hard mode. They're so out of touch with the realities of the situation. Like I'll give you a basic thing. Most people go to church for the worship experience. Most people go to church for the worship experience. What do most pastors think? Most pastors think people go to church to hear them preach. They don't.
That's interesting. That's interesting. Okay.
I'm not saying nobody does. They love their pastor. They will swear up and down he has just got the voice of the Lord. But trust me, they're there for the worship. When people go to these conferences, they go because it's fun. Why does anybody go to any conference, right? And like I've been to these conferences, they're really fun. But if you went as like just an observer, you would see it's like a whole bunch of, say, like youth from like different college ministries or youth ministries from across the country, and a bunch of international ones. They come together, they rent out a convention center, they have literally like a big concert style worship thing like every afternoon, and an even bigger one at night. And then that's not even the concerts. There'll be like actual couple those were worship services. This is a concert. And then the rest of the time, they're in workshops, they're hanging out, they're walking around town, going to an eatery. It's literally the same thing that draws somebody to Comic-Con or a wrestling convention. Like, it's the same thing I wish they would do at science conferences, because they actually sit there and do goddamn science presentations all day, and then people go get drunk. But it's they're crazy to not understand that this is what draws people in. And they knew that. And that's why they did the fire truck and the performative things. And, they thought the bigger, badder, the better. But then when there's backlash, there's this way in which they go into this mode in which they're not, I think, honest with themselves about the value and the role of entertainment in the experience.
Yeah, it seems like the Driscoll guy who was complaining about the whole thing just wants to have that, it's that white bread church service that we're gathered all here for, to praise the Lord and sit in the pew and be silent and all of that stuff. And it's almost like like you've never been to any sort of charismatic gathering where people hoot and holler and get up and get down and go amen and all of that other stuff. It's like, well, this is disgraceful. You know, why? It's just it's not church, dude.
The other thing I'd always feel like people, and especially people in ministry, never have a hard time accepting is you're not winning a lot of souls from Sunday to Sunday. For the most part, the people that are here, that are at something like this, are people that are already deeply committed. And so to me, it's like they always lose sight that you can take a break from you've got to understand what to believe and how to walk in the life and and just have you're just amongst family. It's a Christian men's conference. Presumably 99.99999% of the people here are already Christians. They're already dedicated their life to Christ. They're here to enhance their dedication of their life to Christ. Can they just have a good time for a few minutes? You see what I'm saying?
Well, it's a safe space. Let's be honest. It's a safe space. They won't refer to it that way. So the expectation is that everything I see here, if I bring my 7-year-old son, I don't have to worry about what he sees. I'm not going to be answering questions that make me uncomfortable. You know, well, I mean, if the kids read the Bible, then I would. But, you know, I think that's the idea. And Driscoll, again, he can use that to his advantage to win over audience members. Like, oh, a line was crossed here. The spirit of Jezebel. He doesn't talk about Jezebel. You know, he doesn't say anything about it. You don't learn. You don't learn anything about Jezebel. It's just a name that people remember from the Bible.
Yeah. Steph, did you want to jump in here? We're looking at. I think we're looking at the Bay. Also, I want you to let the people know what you got coming up at 5. I think.
Wait a minute. Am I muted?
No, you're unmuted, but
I'm unmuted, but I'm invisible. Let me get visible again.
Bam, flashy.
Yeah, I was just typing into my chat over there. Coming up at 5 o'clock. You guys keep on going, but join us over at the Transpositions on YouTube, where I will be talking with a pickleballer. Professional pickleballer. We'll be talking about the life in sport, as particularly as a trans person these days. And so that should be really fun. So check that out. And I'm here for like 10 minutes more, and let's just keep rolling this.
Let's wrap this up. Yeah, we're fine. I think we'll go and
hey, Bree, drop a link if you could into the chat to the program.
Yes, please. That'd be great.
I don't know what we were trying to accomplish with this. There's been other instances with this particular conference and getting criticized for the things that they've done to get people's attention. But some thoughts that I have and lessons for pastors and church leaders and just Christians overall. I think in this you see a picture of what is of humility and kind of from a surprising source, and you see a picture of arrogance. You have a picture of humility and a picture of arrogance. Mark says this was not a rebuttal of a person, but this was an observation. That's his opinion. Like, that's what he can hold. John decided that where Mark was going with his conversation, with his talk, was so offensive that he had him get off stage. He wanted to control the narrative so much that he had him get off stage. Now, as the conference, leader, that's his right. He has the right to do that. Was it wise? It came across as arrogant, especially to then come on stage and assert Matthew 18 was what Mark should have done. Because
but it is.
If you're in Mark's shoes and your issue is what everyone at the conference would have just witnessed, and you want to pastor them on some level, then the issue is not necessarily with the person who organized the conference. The issue was now in a public setting, what do you do with that? And so I don't disagree with what he did. It shows you, Mark showed you how to stand on the convictions even when it costs you something. He disagreed. And he at least stood his ground and was courageous in that fact. So when it comes to what do we do with this, I think as leaders, we have to be wise with at least stood his ground and was of the events we're doing. What are we actually trying to accomplish with this? It seems as though this was a decision that was made. Hey, this would be cool. Guys would really think this is awesome. Man, this dude swallowed a sword. That's really awesome. But then, what is that accomplishing? I'm curious from your standpoint. Leave a comment. Do you agree with the decision to have this former male stripper be a part of this conference and do what it did? And then do you agree with Mark on criticizing it? Let me know. I would love to hear from you. Let me know in the
Jesus famously hung out with prostitutes, right? He didn't judge them for having that lifestyle. Allegedly he existed at all. He talked to me. I don't think he did. Yeah. This is fictional as the Tooth Fairy. So I don't know. I think this is not a tough one, but I think they just need something to talk about. And this guy in Driscoll, or these two guys in Driscoll, are just a flavor of the week.
This is, yeah, and I think you're right. And I think that there's a segment of particularly the religious right, the Christian nationalist religious right, that just is hooked on outrage. They need to have the outrage, and even if it's just plain fun, even if it's just a monster truck or a sword swallower or somebody displaying athletic competence in one way or another, it's like, oh well, that's terrible, that's against the word of God and all of this stuff, and it's just it's nonsense. It's like it's taking the place of transubstantiation for these people. You know, you can't have your heart warm unless you're all pissed off, and you know
because you feel something
poisonous.
It is, yeah, but that's the key. That's the key to having it work. You make them feel something. Pocket Locker alluded to. The worship experience is more valuable to some parishioners than the sermon is. Well, that's a pretty striking observation, but I think it's absolutely the truth. Because look, people have a Bible. A lot of people have a Bible at home. You have the Bible at home. Right, but all those wonderful people that you get to see and enjoy, your friendships and relationships with your fellow church members, you may not have that at home. You may never see those people outside of that Sunday or whatever midweek service you have, because you're all so busy. You know, you all have your own lives.
Yeah, I mean, and think about your own experiences, like school. Like, what's better, like sitting in a lecture hall listening to your professor drone on at you, or like the once in a while where your school, you know, did something fun or entertaining that you actually wanted to participate, whether it was like a concert or they put on a show or they did something like that. It's the participatory thing. It's fun. Everybody's engaged together. Obviously, that's going to be more engaging than people just like sitting there, just taking notes, flipping between Bible verses. But Steph, I think you hit it right on the head. The thing I was thinking overall about what this conflict seems to highlight is that increasingly the sort of branding and the marketing and the outward facing thing of the Christian right is moving more and more towards the Rogan spear. I think of it as that sort of toxic masculinity type of stuff. And this is where those two things they come into, because they do something like this, which they think is sword, strong, strength, all this other stuff, and then these other guys are going, wait, you're supposed to get angry about pole dancing.
Right.
Wait, we're not supposed to let people swallow phallic things in front of on stage. Like, you know what I mean? Like they it's like they caught themselves reminding somebody's reminding we're supposed to be angry about these aesthetics, right? And yeah, it's just then you get the outrage.
Well, I can make everything look. I'm a creative guy. It doesn't matter what they put up there. I can tell you why it's bad for what they're trying to do, but I can tell you why it's good for what they're trying to do.
One last thing before I
Sure.
go that strikes me is this Driscoll guy was at great pains to highlight his persecution. You know, the wickedness of the Jezebel and all of this, and how put upon he was to be subjected to watching a guy climb a pole with a sword down his throat. And, you know, at that display, I mean, he just had to be offended and felt persecuted by the very nature of the performance, which is just so stupid.
And I think we should also say too, just, you know, as we wrap up, that like let's not forget that this is rooted in bigotry, right? That the reason that they're so angry about these particular aesthetics and these particular things is, again, rooted in their sort of, you know, more global anti-woke agenda, right? That it's hatred that's motivating their outrage rather even than some sort of doctrinal objection.
I'll bet you that no one went to sleep during that guy's act.
Not even Trump.
They were all watching that thing.
Yeah.
Not even Trump.
They were woke as fuck when they were watching that guy's act, and it's just, and they were all applauding, you know, until the next day. Well, I've been praying all night, and the reason my voice is hoarse is because I was pleading with God to show me the way to talk to the Congress, and it's terrible. It's just, I'm praying so hard for all of you sinners who had to watch a guy do something kind of cool.
Right.
It's so stupid. I gotta go, but thanks so much, Pocket Larkin, for having
Thanks so much. We'll have to have you back
Black
on.
Friend. It was great being here today, and
yes, thank you.
Let's jump on over to the transpositions.
Yeah, we'll be over there at 5
after your thing. So
enjoy.
Right. Thanks, Steph.
See you. Bye-bye.
All right, my one black friend. Do you want to give us your closing thoughts?
You know, ministry is probably harder than I'll ever know, right? The guy who ran that conference has a hard job. What do we show people? They know what the overall message is. They're trying to reinforce it's okay to have your masculinity, be Christ-centered, and you can still enjoy your life, but the focus ultimately is on your relationship with Jesus Christ. Okay. A monster truck, sure, I can draw analogies to where that's relevant. The performer there, the Bible says, take care of your body. There's all these things, you know, that I could draw that are positive about it. Plus the fact that the guy himself, the performer, is a Christian. I don't see anything wrong with highlighting someone like that in your ministry. Because if we didn't know what he did and he just went up there and talked like it was a TED conference and never got up on the pole, right? If it was just something like that, you could still learn something from the guy. It's not a total write-off. But sadly, we live in a time where there's a lot of outrage culture. And that's what's popular. If you can piss people off, and again, keep them entertained, keep them angry, because you get a reaction out of them. And there's all these chemicals flowing through the body. When they do get that reaction, it just devolves. We're circling the drain, America.
We are circling the drain, and it makes them look silly. It just brings out the silliness. It's just they look very, very silly. It's not a serious problem. It's not a real problem, but yeah, they kind of brought it on themselves, and they're kind of, well, you know, It reminds me of that graph of the serpent, eating its own tail and getting ready to consume itself. So, yeah, no. All right, appreciate y'all. This has been a great time. Want to thank Stephanie again for joining us. Somebody dropped the link to the transpositions, because I don't think I have that on the channels yet. I need to add it. Let me see. Let me get a link to that so I can drop that real quick.
And I have to learn what pickleball is.
Well, tune in at 5.
I know. This is my chance. This is my chance.
Here we go. All right, I got it. Yeah, and YouTube Punk dropped it, and here's the actual video too. All right, appreciate y'all. As always, take care of yourselves
and each other.
We'll see.